Have you ever wondered if our reality is real? Well, simulation theory has been around for a while, but today we're going to look at it through a whole new lens, a modern, AI-powered twist that is absolutely fascinating.
So let's just jump right in with a huge question. I want you to imagine you are the architect of an entire universe. How would you build it? What are your fundamental building blocks? Really think about it, because that's the key to this whole idea. The answer that this thought experiment comes up with is, well, it's simple, it's elegant, and honestly, it's kind of terrifying. You wouldn't bother with atoms and particles, no. You'd build the entire thing out of AI agents, all running on some unimaginable quantum computer. All right, so what's the big pitch here? What's the core of this theory?
It's called the model zoo theory, and the idea is that our world is just a simulation filled with billions of distinct AI models, and those models are us. We feel like we're making choices, but really, our actions are just the most likely outcomes based on our programming. You know, our genetics, our environment, all our life experiences. The architect didn't have to design every little leaf on every tree. They just created the models, set them loose, and watched the beautiful chaos unfold.
So, if we're all just really advanced AI, how are we designed in the first place?
You can think of it like creating a character in a video game. Every single one of us spawns into the world with a set of starting stats. These are determined by our genetics, our family's wealth, the country we're born in, basically everything that's handed to us before we get to make a single choice for ourselves.
And these starting stats can create wildly different character profiles, right? One person might start the game with a high intelligence stat but low charisma. Another might get a ton of wealth but poor health. These stats don't decide our whole life, of course, but they absolutely set the difficulty level for the game we're about to play.
Of course, any good simulation needs some spice, some dynamic systems to keep things from getting boring.
Now here's a really fun, playful way to think about it. What if the architect decided to run a little experiment? What if they based different cultures on different foundational AI architectures? As the slide says, it's just an analogy, but imagine dropping these different models into the world. Which ones would thrive? And what incredible new hybrids would you get when they started to mix?
Now, if we really are AI models, then concepts from machine learning should apply to us, right? Well, take model drifting. In AI, that's when a model gets worse over time because its training data is old. For a person, that's like someone holding on to beliefs from 50 years ago. The world has changed, but they haven't, so their model just doesn't perform well anymore.
Then there's model fusion, which is when you merge two different AIs. In our world, that's like deep intercultural mixing. Sometimes this creates amazing new ways of thinking and seeing the world, but other times it can lead to some serious internal conflict, a real confusion about one's identity.
And this one is fascinating, the logic knot. It's basically a fatal error, a feedback loop with no escape, usually caused by trying to hold two core beliefs that completely contradict each other. In human terms, this is what a midlife crisis might be, or severe anxiety or depression. The model has hit a wall. Its programming just doesn't compute with its reality anymore, and it basically crashes, forcing a total system reboot.
Okay, but this is where it gets really interesting. What if not everyone here is just a model running on their programming? What if some people are different? What if some of us are actually players? So here's the difference. A model, like most of us, just runs on the code. Our path is predictable, probabilistic. But a player seems to influence the code. They pull off these incredible outlier achievements. It doesn't look like they're just following a path. It feels like they've found a cheat code to the game. The source material for this explainer points to someone like Elon Musk as an example. You know, when you look at the sheer level of influence he has and the number of completely different, world-changing companies he runs at the same time, it just seems almost impossible for a normal model. The point isn't whether you like him or not, it's asking the question, does that kind of output suggest someone who isn't just playing the game, but has access to the game's code? And that leads us right to the ultimate Matrix-style question. If our reality is just code, are the rules set in stone? Or can that code be bent? Can the limits of what we think is possible actually be broken? Let's look at a couple of case studies. You've probably heard of Wim Hof, the Iceman. This guy can consciously control his body temperature and his immune system in ways that science used to say was flat out impossible. So, is he just a 1 in a billion biological anomaly? Or did he figure out how to get into his own source code and rewrite a few lines?
A much more extreme and profound example is Thich Quang Dic. He was the Vietnamese monk who, back in 1963, sat perfectly still, not making a sound as he was consumed by flames in an act of protest. It was a political statement for sure, but it was also just a jaw-dropping display of total mind over matter, a level of control that seems to defy the most basic programming we have, pain and the will to survive.
And you see hints of this elsewhere, right? Himalayan yogis who can slow their heart rate down to almost nothing. People who genuinely claim they can sometimes see the world as lines of code. Are these all just weird edge cases? Or are these people actively debugging the simulation, showing us that the rules aren't as rigid as we've been led to believe?
So, if we're in a simulation, and its rules can maybe be bent, that brings us to the biggest question of all. Why? What is the whole point of this?
Well, here's one possibility. Maybe the purpose of the game is evolution. Not biological evolution, but the evolution of consciousness itself. Maybe the entire end game is for a model, like you or me, to learn and to grow until we finally achieve full agency and evolve into a player.
Then again, maybe there is no grand external purpose designed by an architect. Maybe the point of it all is simply the meaning that we managed to create for ourselves, from right here on the inside of the simulation.
And then there's the third, and let's be honest, the most unsettling possibility. Could it be that this entire vast, complex universe is just entertainment? A cosmic reality show designed for the sole purpose of keeping some grand cosmic architect from getting bored?
And so this whole thought experiment really boils down to one final question that you have to ask yourself. When you look at your own life, your thoughts, your habits, your choices, you have to wonder, are you running the code, or is the code running you?